anyone else waiting.
Okay, so topic today. Good morning, everybody. We're going to talk about door knocking as a strategy. Okay. First thing that pops into everybody in real estate. Ooh, I don't like door knocking. I don't want to do door knocking. I want people just to call me. Once I get a lead, I can work it. I just need leads. Right?
Yes.
That's exactly what people going into real estate believe real estate is. If you're not prospecting in real estate, you will not survive. So if you are prospecting in some other format and you're doing it consistently, great. But door knocking is one way that you can prospect that you do not have to spend a lot of money at. So if you're looking at doing something where you have the ability to build your database, then door knocking is effective. All it requires is your time and commitment to it. Okay. Now, for everybody that feels that it doesn't work, who was out on the door knocking this past weekend who can jump in and let me know how it went? Either you guys answer, I'll pick your names.
Hi, Scott. I can share my experience.
Thank you.
I had a good experience. I did just, around your listing there, it's like just door knocking for the open house invitation,
Yeah.
right? We had. So, but I like door knocked, and basic question was, this guy opens the door and he's like, okay. And I told him, I said, this is come up for sale. Like, we've listed this property. Are you planning to make a move this year? And he's like, maybe. When he says yes or maybe, that's kind of me offering like a free home evaluation, right? And that's what exactly I did. And the guy is like, are you gonna be the one coming to do the evaluation? And I said yes. And he's like, okay, sure, no problem. Tell me what day you can come. And then I booked an appointment with him for tomorrow. At 3 p.m. it is tomorrow, actually. So it went pretty good. So I did book appointment. So I'm going to do home evaluation, do my listing presentation, and let's see, find out his motivation and timing if he's planning to sell. Right?
Excellent. That's not a bad experience.
Yeah.
So how many doors did you hit? Or how long were you out there?
I was there about an hour and a half.
Yep.
Did that and got this one person booked appointment. So I would say maybe 75 doors maybe I knocked. Right?
Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay. Excellent. So there you go. You went out, you knocked with a purpose of not just knocking on someone's door and saying, would you be interested in buying or selling? You basically are inviting them to say, hey, if you happen to know anybody, we are doing an open house on the new listing in the area. And then from there, the conversation, when you're doing that, it's not as intrusive. It's a simple question, right? Because all you're doing is just saying, hey, if you happen to know, if you're maybe interested in looking at moving and staying in the neighborhood, we're doing an open house, or if you happen to know any friends or relatives that might be interested in moving into the area. So it's a really easy conversation. You are still going to get people that aren't going to answer the door. You're still going to get people that may slam the door. I'm not interested. But it's a numbers game. Okay. That's excellent that you were able to take that conversation and then turn it into an appointment. So in the event that you can't turn it into an appointment, but you can at least find out when and if they are going to make a move, then it's a matter of adding them into the database, right? Because what you're trying to do is, by door knocking, yeah, you may get somebody that goes, hey, great timing. We got to go. We got to move. More than likely, though, doing it consistently, you are going to find that you can add people to your database. And from adding them into your database, then you have to do follow-up. Then, first of all, you have to send thank you note. Then you have to, have a reason to follow up. And the follow-up over time, they may not move for 3 years, may not move for 5 years, but you're building that relationship through your follow-ups, through your pop buys. Okay. So what you have to understand is consistency with door knocking is so vital. And it doesn't have to be a full, okay, I'm going to knock 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. But it has to be consistent. And you have to find what works for you, and different times of the day. But you also have to keep your stats. You have to keep what streets did I knock on? Who's already answered? Who didn't I get? Because if by working a door knocking area, it's important to track which properties you have not been able to communicate with. So you can still go back to the same street and go, okay, I haven't, these people haven't been able to reach. So the next knock would be, hey, just wanted to let you know, I was in the neighborhood the other day inviting people to the open house. Just want to make sure you got the flyer. And they're probably going to go, no, we didn't get a flyer. Well, then just want to let you know, here's what we have listed around the corner. Here's what's going on in the neighborhood. Do you happen to know anybody that'd be interested in moving into the neighborhood? And then there's other scripts and questions. And all you're trying to do with the door knock is find out when and if they're thinking of selling. And I've had people say to me, oh, we don't plan on moving for 5 to 10 years. I said, great. I plan on being in this business for a very long time. I'll just keep in touch with you.
Hi, Scott.
Hey, hi, Sarah.
How are you?
Good. Good. You want to tell us your experience?
Yes. Actually, I felt that maybe 50% of people who invested their property in last couple of years, they are motivated right now. They are looking at your property in that area, and I feel door knocking is the best thing for our brokerage. For everyone, I recommend they should go for the door knock in whole Mississauga, because your property is like very nice staged and it's a very good property. If it's sold, then I think after sold, we should go for more door knocking, because more people are just trying to downsize and relocate. Just they want to get rid of their investment properties, because mostly people, they came just to check if they can sell their property, um, based on the recent sold and what's happening in the area. They really want to sell their investment property. Mostly, I feel this kind of situation in in this market, and I feel people are coming here. They're asking just the question about what's happening, what's going on, and mostly people, they want to go for downsize.
Right. Yep. And that's what you were finding in some of the properties, right?
Yeah.
When you were out, or people coming by. So understand that the door knocking allows you a couple opportunities. You can do a just listed when you list a property, door knock. When you're doing the open house, do another flyer, door knock again, and invite people to the open house. Okay. When you sell it, you door knock again, let people know that it's sold. So there's multiple opportunities. And especially if you do it in the same area, because what you're doing is you're building your personal brand. Because even the people that aren't there get your flyer. Then next time you're in the neighborhood, they're consistently going to see you working that area. Okay, so it's important for you, if you're going to be a door knocker, which I highly recommend. I made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars door knocking. Okay, and in the area where I have this listing, it's the actual area that I moved into, bought new, 1984. So out of that subdivision, I was doing about 30 deals a year from door knocking, open houses, and flyers. So a very lucrative business, but it was all planned. I knew exactly when I was door knocking. I knew when I was doing the open houses. I knew when the flyers were going out. It was all planned. It wasn't just shoot from the hip. So door knocking, absolutely. You get a new listing. Somebody in the office gets a new listing. If they're not going to get out and door knock the neighborhood, because it gives you different opportunities, right? Just listed, open houses, sold. So one of the things then that we have to look at is why door knock? Any answers?
Like we can meet people more in person, and then we can find out what's their plan. And
Correct.
yeah, when you talk more, then you can understand about their financial situation, and then you can follow up them. So yeah, we can
Yeah.
connect with the people with their interest.
Yeah. So here's what happens with door knocking. Okay. Understanding how people communicate is important. Okay. So communication from just consumers in general, 55% of it is body language. 38% is how you speak, your tone, things like that. 7% is dialogue. So yeah, it's important to have dialogue and it's important to ask certain questions. So doing door knocking, you're face to face. Why do videos do so well now? So imagine you're doing a blog or you're doing a live video. Who's going to get more response? The video, right? The video. Why? Because there's body language involved. And as consumers, as human being consumers, we will watch body language more important than the language that you speak. So that's why door knocking works if you do it consistently. If you expect that you're going to go door knock and hey, every day I'm going to go get a bunch of leads, it's a numbers game. Okay. But it's a great numbers game because it really all it costs you is your time and flyers that you print. That's it. So Nancy, you had a question or a thought?
No, I'm good. I was just, I've knocked on thousands of doors, as you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes even if you don't have it just listed or just sold, you can door knock and just say, hey, my name is Nancy Vandenberg. I'm with Realty Executives. I'm just introducing myself to people in the neighborhood. And, man, the bugs are bad today. Have you thought about buying or selling? And I've done that in the past. And I actually, when I was in Mississauga, I actually got two listings off of doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's how you go about it, but understanding that doing it in the same area or doing it at least on those different types where it's just listed, open house, sold, gives you the opportunity of informing the community. Really, that's what you're doing, of what's going on in the neighborhood. And that if they have any questions with what's going on in the neighborhood, you're their go-to person, no obligation. That's really what it's about. Okay. So the idea is to build your CRM, build your database from it. So then you have to understand, how are you going to follow up? Okay. Other things to do, just the little things. Sending a thank you note to anybody that chatted with you. Okay. Handwritten note, just drop it off. Just put it in their mailbox. Put it at their door. Now, all you're doing is just say, hey, thanks very much for taking the time to speak with me the other day. And if you could put something a little personal that you spoke to them about in that note, then they're going to go, all right, that was the person that was by. Make sure you put a business card in. Okay. So that is important to do. One of the things when you do door knocking is set your parameters. So is it going to be, I'm going to knock 3 days a week and I'm going to go out for an hour and a half, or I'm going to go knocking until I have 5 new people that I can add to my database. So once you set your parameters, it's a task, okay? And you know that it's, lots of times it'll be, I'm going to go knock for an hour and a half. Once I hit the hour and a half, I'm done. And on to but in your calendar, you should have that minimum of 3 times a week. Okay. Other thing to keep in mind is when you're knocking, don't be right up against the door. Like, yeah, ring the doorbell, knock on the door, back up. Don't be right in their face. Okay, just back up. And when you introduce yourself, make sure that you're going to let them know why you're there and that it's a quick visit. Right? So however you want to do that, it's just a matter of, letting them know why you're there. So it could be as simple as, hey, especially in this scenario, hey, Scott Gilmour from Realty Executives, just want to let the neighborhood know we're personally inviting you to the open house that we're having this weekend. Do you happen to know anybody that might be interested in moving in the area? And they're probably going to go, nope. Great, no problem. But we're going to be there. Curious though, have you guys ever thought about moving? And if so, like, is it soon, 5, 10 years down the road? So just try and engage them in a conversation. That's all you're trying to do. Okay. But let them know very quickly in your dialogue in the beginning that it's why you're there and that it's just a short amount of time. So all the ones that were out on the weekend knocking, can you share any conversations that you had, or and I know you already have to some degree, but any of the good conversations? Obviously appointments were good conversations, but even conversations where it just led to them giving you a little bit of information about them, either a phone number or an email, any of that? Nobody? Nancy, go ahead.
When I was doing the door knocking, when you and I were a team, I basically, did the introduction, left the flyer, and people who I sensed were sort of thinking, hey, do you mind if I add you to my database so that we can keep in touch over the next few months? And if they said yes, bam, into the database.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. And Gautam just joined us. He was on screen and now he's here in person. So that was great. Nicely done. Nicely done. Yeah. Good. So great point, Nancy. All you're trying to do is ask questions to see if there's a reason that you can get information to add them to your database. Okay. And then it's a matter of making sure that, again, you thank them for that and let them know that you will be in touch with them as you promised them you would. Right? Because, or as they, as you asked me to do so they know that, all right, I did mention, right? So you're following up, you're letting them know that you're doing what you said you would do, and you're reconfirming with them that you are going to be in touch with them. Okay. Other thing to do is when you're knocking, make sure, my recommendation is that you have proper business attire. Right?
I was about to say.
Good business attire, something that identifies, like even if you've got Realty Executives shirt or you know, lanyard, name badge, something that just shows that you're, you know, who you are and what you're doing. Okay. Also keep in mind, your energy level is really important when you're going outdoor knocking. Be yourself, be, you know, yeah, it's a nervous thing to do, but have some energy, right? Like keep your energy up, keep your tone good, always be smiling, right? Always thank them for their time, no matter if it's good or bad. But again, it's consistency, it's follow up, follow up, follow up. Okay. The other, I guess the other thing you really want to do is you want to track your numbers, right? So if you're hitting 100 doors and you're finding, okay, from 100 doors, I get, you know, at this time of day, I get this many people home, I get this many conversations, I get this many, you know, add to my database. And try different times of the day. I know I ran into actually one of the top people that I know who built a very successful business. And actually, a lot of the stuff we're discussing is stuff that he's done for years. And we are going to send you actually, what are we sending, Michelle?
The podcast.
Okay. So we're going to send you a podcast of where Richard Robbins actually interviewed one of Peter Maposik's team who does door knocking consistently. And all his points, it's a 55-minute podcast. You have to listen to it all.
There will be a quiz. So
Okay.
please listen to it all.
And the reason I want you to listen to it, even if you're not going to door knock, there's some really good points in it about commitment to time, commitment to schedule, and commitment to follow-up. So even if you're not going to do the door knocking, really important to go through it. But tracking your numbers is important when it comes to the door knocking. Okay. The other thing is that when you are doing the door knocking, make sure you've got something to leave behind, right? Have a flyer, have something that of somewhere where if they, even after the conversation with you, there may be a different call of action that they can reach you on. Okay. And it's just, again, the whole thing is behind it is understanding that you're going to get more no's than yeses, but it's numbers. It's all numbers, and it's all about how do you build your database. So you can either buy the business, spend lots of money, online leads, billboards, you know, thousands and thousands of flyers, whereas door knocking is your time and not a lot of money invested. Okay.
Or if we are going into a neighborhood where door knocking and we don't have a listing, I know this is a good way that, okay, you have an excuse to talk,
Yep.
right? But if you don't have a listing, what information could you leave behind, like on that flyer?
Neighborhood.
Sales.
Just, neighborhood information, and you can basically say, hey, just as what Nancy was saying, you can say, hey, you know, your name with Realty Executives, I'm just introducing myself to people in the neighborhood, and just, you know, supplying with information of everybody is unsure of what the market's doing. All I'm trying to do is just bring some certainty so that, and here's some stats on what's going on. But if, you know, these are general stats, if you would like a more in-depth evaluation or, you know, information on your property, I can certainly do that. Right? That's all. That's what you're doing. Understanding really what you're trying to do is get to the point where you're having a conversation, you're letting them know that it's going to be only there for, you know, very quick conversation, giving them information, asking them if there's any specific information they require for themselves. And then really what you're trying to do is get it down to where you could simply say, one line would be, is if we had somebody that was interested in this neighborhood and they specifically want this neighborhood and would be willing to pay a bit above market value, would that be something you'd be interested in? Because what you're trying to do is, fine, they may have said no, they're not interested in moving. But your last question, really what you're doing is you're saying, like, if I had a stupid buyer that decided to pay way too much money, would you be interested in selling at that point? And if they go, yeah, absolutely, then great. Then would it be okay with you if I get a little bit more information about your property? Right? And you're going to get, some of them are going to go, no, we're here forever. Well, that's great. Good. On to the next. But you will get sometimes where someone will go, hey, well, if they're going to pay me way more than what it's worth, yeah, maybe. Great. I just happen to need more information. Can I get your phone number? Can I get, right? The phone number, email, name. Add it to your database, send them a thank you note. And what are you going to say in that thank you note? When I come across that buyer that's going to really, really be interested in your house, I'm going to pay, top dollar for it, I will be in touch. Or I'll bring them by. But in the meantime, I'll just stay in touch. That's what you're doing. Okay. Any other thoughts for the people that were out there door knocking? What'd you come across? Okay, I know people are out door knocking.
I have a thought.
All right, Jade.
So one of the houses that I door knocked, so initially, when I went, I spoke to somebody that wasn't the homeowner. So then she called another family member, who also I don't think was the homeowner, but she's the one that took like my business card and my flyer. And then upon walking away from the door after having a short conversation with her, another lady came out and called me back. So then I actually had a conversation with her. She was just asking me the price of the open house, as well as what are the prices of the houses in the neighborhood going for. So then I made a CMA for her the next day, and I'm just waiting for her to respond back, but I'm also going to reach out to her today again to just make sure that she actually received it via email. So I'm just going to shoot her a text. But that's like how one of my experiences went. And this was my first time door knocking. And I think she was probably like my fourth house that I went to.
Not bad. Not bad at all. Well done. Well done. Again, it's just starting a conversation, right? Worst thing is they'll slam the door in the face, and all you got to do is remember next, on to the next, because you will get, look, like this was just, how many people were up? 6, 8, maybe?
Probably across 2 days, we have about 6 people go.
Okay. So out of all of that, all of those doors, so far we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 appointments, direct appointments that have come out of it, plus other names added to a database. Pretty productive, right? So why aren't people doing it more?
And I also have one thought about how we did staging. Like a lot of people, they want to come and see, and they want to invite agents. Then they want to know, they want second opinion, how they can fix everything or stage their property before they list. So they are very much interested to see how we do our presentation, or how we do staging for the property before we list. So many people, I think they are more interested before they list their property in the neighborhood.
Right. Okay, so then what that tells me, great point, Sarah. What that tells me is your flyer better have big bold letters on it that says free staging consultation.
Yes, that's why I'm highlighting this point because so many people come just to see the staging and they want to know that is the owner staged this property or you guys did?
Yeah. So you want to have something there that for anybody interested in selling, we provide a free staging consultation, helping you maximize the return on your property. Ask us how.
And they invited me, one family, they invited me at their place to just get the ideas that how their property will look like after staging and what we should make some renovation or changes before we list the property. So they have so many questions.
Yep. So keep in mind this topic of free staging consultation, helping people maximize their dollar, helping them maximize the return on their investment. That better be everywhere, not just on your flyer for door knocking. I hope it's in your bio somewhere. It better be on your website somewhere. Better be in your social media somewhere. Because if that's what consumers are looking for, then why not give them what they're looking for? Okay. So it doesn't just have to be for the door knock, but definitely should be on your flyers for the door knock. Because staging, there are lots of stagers that will go out and do a consultation. Okay. You always go with them. Don't send them by themselves. Okay. You always set up the appointment. If you are not familiar with staging, go on YouTube and learn that magic channel, right? Go on and learn about it. There are courses you can take. Not saying I want you to be stagers, but you have to have enough information about staging so that if they ask you a question at the door while you're door knocking and they're looking at your flyer, and they're going to go, they may say, oh, could you come in and do it now? And you actually can say, can't do it right now because I have, I have a team that works with me that we do the staging together. But what day would be better? Would you like us to come on Thursday or Saturday? Right? Book an appointment from them. Or they're going to say, well, what do you guys really do about staging? One of the things that a lot of people forget and why, I've been staging houses for 40 years. Didn't know that's what it was called. I just knew that I had to help the sellers make their house look the best it would be. We moved furniture. We had them put in new carpet. We had them paint. We've been doing that for over 40 years. So one of the things that you have to understand is why do you actually stage a house?
So actually, people, they can see buyer, they can visualize them, how they can style their when they will move in. So,
Yeah.
and even property can look more attractive for, especially for buyers and even for the pictures, for social media. It's very important for staging because
Very
without
important. Yeah.
staging, even any buyer, I had one property listed without staging. Everyone who visited that property, they could not even see how they can, look themselves in the property. So it's very important when we stage the property before we list.
Yes. And some of the time, the staging can be minor or can be major, right? One of the reasons you also stage, and as a realtor, you've got to make sure you understand this, because this is one of the points that goes beyond the emotional side of why you stage. You stage because you want to, bring out, getting the consumer to see how they could possibly live if they don't have that vision. The other reason you stage is you are holding open houses. You're having other realtors that are showing the property. How do you maneuver consumers through that property is part of staging. So if you have furniture, they may have a beautiful house, stunning. The furniture is great. But if you find that when you actually walk through, and you should do this with every listing that you do, okay? Always get your sellers to put the hat on as the buyers and go outside and come walking up their stairs or up to their hall, go in. And now when you go through, say, okay, now we're a buyer. All of a sudden we're walking, well, wait a minute, you got a couch across this area. Well, we can't go into that room. So now what happens? The house feels smaller because you can only go one way. Keeping in mind, there's probably a minimum of 3 people. Now, if they got 2 little kids coming along, now you've got people holding hands, trying to maneuver. So staging isn't just about fancy, stuff on the walls. You've got to really understand the flow of how you're going to show that property. And how easy is it going to be for other realtors to show that property? So that's also part of staging. I've got some of my clients that are interior designers. They stage their house beautifully. And I said, that's great. Let's go for a walk. Started walking through and I said, do you notice anything?
But
She goes,
Scott,
nope.
like this family, they had really nice upgrades. So when people they don't
Yes.
upgrade their property, it's also very important that uh, sellers should work on staging, even properties not renovated. This property was very well maintained and it was completely renovated from bathroom and kitchen, basement,
Yep.
everything was nice. And when we visited this property without staging, it was different. And after staging, it was completely mind blowing because everyone was so um, sh- surprised to see this because in this same neighborhood, people they visited this property before and after staging, uh, they were shocked to see this property and they said this is really really good job. Whoever did this job is a great job. So they were complimenting about the staging a lot. Everyone. Then
Yes. No, and it's a stager I use. She does all my properties. So, and it's really important to understand this was a vacant house. So like everything that's all staged. Okay. I also, though, last year staged a sold as is where is property. Because part of staging is decluttering, throwing out crap, making sure that, even overgrown trees are trimmed, bushes are, that's part of staging. Not just the bright shiny objects. So where I was getting with this, if you're going to have that, and you should have that on your flyer, on your information, on your bio, understand that it's more than just the furniture, more than just the print on the wall. It's how to best flow the showing, how to best curb appeal. How can you make the curb appeal be better? Okay. That's all part of staging. So, that's why it's important you understand that. Because it gives you another topic when you're door knocking, or if you're at an open house, it's another service you provide. It's another reason that maybe you can get someone's information, add them to your database. Okay. Any other thoughts on what else you could do? So you've got somebody's email or you got their phone number. Why not send them a quick video thank you as well? Right? You do a quick video thank you at the end of the day to everybody because then you're in the same clothes that they saw you at the door with, right? And you're basically doing a quick video to say, hey, thanks again for chatting with me today. I just wanted to say, yep, that was great. I will follow up on providing that information for you and look forward to continuing our conversations down the road. Done. Right? So I would do a handwritten one and put it in the post. I would do a video one so they get it right away, because they're going to get the post 3 or 4 days later if they're not on strike. So again, all you're trying to do is get several different touch points. And that's why this kind of prospecting is really, really good. Okay? Really good. So again, the biggest things with door knocking is consistency, set your time, do your follow-up, do your thank yous, and just track your numbers, okay? It works. You know, it worked 45 years ago when I started doing it. It still works today. Nancy?
And the other thing too, like you're talking about something to leave behind. If you go to the Realty Executives Pro Shop on Vistaprint, the 4x6 postcards are very inexpensive to leave, to have them printed and leave with somebody with all of your information on it.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Nancy.
Good point, right? So there you go. Now, if you are going to do the door knocking and you are going to do open houses in the same area that you're going to be door knocking, spend the money and get your own open house signs with your name on them. I can't tell you how many times I have people use my signs, and I'll get calls from clients of mine go, hey, we went to drop by that open house, but it wasn't you there, but it was your signs. And when I worked this neighborhood, when this listing is in, I had signs everywhere with my name on them. Back then, it was me doing the open house, mind you. But I can tell you, if you're going to do door knocking, you are going to get listings. You're going to have listings, get your own open house signs with your name on, and don't do the, oh, it drives me nuts when people do this hand script writing of their name. Simple, bold block letters. People are driving by in a car. They have a split second to read it. Make it legible, okay? Marketing 101. And that's the thing. That's what I love about door knocking. It gives you the opportunity where you can go anywhere, you can do it, you can schedule it. It doesn't cost anything but your time and some money for flyers. Then it's a matter of it leads to other opportunities. I have people in my database from door knocking that have done multiple deals with me since. So who's afraid of door knocking?
Here.
Yeah,
Can I say
I think-
something?
sure.
Yeah, I want to say that Nasir should go for the door knock because he's very good as a listing agent, very knowledgeable person. I think he should go for door knock because he can get so many listings from Mississauga. I can bet you. You should go there.
Why don't you two go this weekend?
There you go. A great idea that popped in my head that Matthew and I are going to be doing is if you're afraid of door knocking, or the thought of it is scary, then work in a warm market. And a warm market can be family and friends that live in an area that knows a lot of people. Well, that's going to be a wonderful warm market because you can door knock and say, hey, Tony, who lives down the street, told me that you know him and my name is this, and you can start working in a warmer market because they're less likely to close the door because it's like, well, I like Tony, fine, I'll listen to your spiel. That's number one. And number two, what I found very, very, very successful to get people talking is compliment them. And so whenever I was cold calling people on the phone or door knocking, I would always start off with a compliment. Hey, I really love the hedges. I really love your grass. It is super green. Like, what's your secret? You start off with that, the shields to the no goes down and you start opening up the conversation all of a sudden.
Good points. Yeah.
People like to hear good things about their home or themselves, or however, they could have an accent,
Yeah.
British accent, just say,
Yeah. Understand, door knocking is nothing except a conversation. You are not there to sell that house at that moment. Okay? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So just get that out of your head. Understand all you're doing is having conversations to add people to your database to be able to follow up. Okay? That's what you're doing. It just so happens that they have property, and down the road, sometime, it's probably going to get sold. You just want to be the opportunity there, that be the option for them. The only way you're going to be the option for them, though, is you got to build a relationship with them, right? You got to build a relationship. Well, you can't build a relationship till you start having a conversation. That's all you're doing. Okay.
Thomas is not.
What's that?
Thomas is not here because he can share a lot of things because he was there first time for the door knock and he really enjoyed it. And second day he was very confident. I don't know, I couldn't see him here today. He was very happy with the results and with his experience.
Yeah, and understand, I know Tommy's not on here, but understand that door knocking together is fine. You don't have to go alone, right? Yeah, Nance.
I see Gret has a message here in the chat that she gets nervous and then she chickens out. It's honestly, you just have to get in the right headspace. Like, they are only people. And I mean, I understand being nervous for the first little bit, but they're just people. You can talk to them in the grocery store. You can talk to them at the corner store. I mean, they're only people. Don't be nervous. They're not going to kill you. Well, hopefully. I mean, I don't know where you're door knocking, but hopefully they're not going to.
I did it once. I did it once or twice. And one time I almost sprained, well, I think I might have sprained my ankle, but yeah, I was kind of worried that was going to be permanent or serious damage. But anyway, then another time I got like really forcefully to come in for coffee. And I was like, okay, I'm done. So that kind of stuff makes me nervous. Maybe it's the area I chose.
Well, then don't go alone. Simple as you're not going to go alone. There's lots of people here that'll go door knocking with you. Okay.
One time I was also nervous like that, and I went and helped the politician like door knock, and that could be really even more scary because they could be hating because I'm Liberal Party, and they're like, well, I hate liberals, what I mean? And then you hear those rude comments, more rude.
Yeah.
But that removed my hesitation, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, I could do it for somebody else. Why can't I do it for myself?
Yeah.
Safety in pairs. So absolutely. Okay. The other way is why people don't door knock is I don't know what to say. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody's, I don't know what to say. Okay. It's as simple as you're just giving out information. And the easiest one is inviting people to an open house. The easiest one is letting them know about a new listing. Okay. So until you have that situation, then, as Nancy says, you could just go and introduce yourself that you're, going to be working in the area. Okay. But go in pairs. Go in pairs if you're, until you get your confidence, or just continue going in pairs for safety. But all it is a conversation. Okay. And the easiest one is where you are not being offensive to somebody going, hey, by the way, I just want to let you know about a house that's for sale down the street. They may not already know about it. Okay. It works. Mindset is challenging. I can tell you when I first started door knocking, I hated it. I drove around the neighborhoods. I delivered the flyers. And if I saw somebody in the driveway, I chatted with them. But then I realized I wasn't making that much money by doing that. So then I said, okay, I'm gonna door knock until I get someone into my database. And then once I added somebody into my database, it was like, okay, now I'm gonna add 5. And once I started setting my goals on what I was achieving that day for door knocking, and I blocked off in my calendar the days I was going to door knock. Okay. It was easy. One of the simplest formulas are, if you're doing an open house, go the day before, hit 10 doors across the street, 10 doors on either side of the listing. So now you just hit 30 doors, and all you're doing is you're going to put a flyer together to say, hey, just to let you know, we're doing an open house on this property from 2 till 4. However, we are doing a pre-open house for the neighbors. If you would like to get in between, anytime between 1 and 2, here's my contact information. I can meet you there before the public. Simple. Yep, correct. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. When I think about going out and seeing how many names or just knocking on doors, seeing how many people will actually talk to me, I think the introduction part is okay. Introducing myself is fine. Where I get stuck is actually collecting their name and number, email, and that sort of thing. Like just the simple, do you want to stay on top of the market? Do you want a market report? I just find that a lot of times it's a no.
Okay,
So
well,
in terms of like just getting their contact information is also turn off.
okay. Well, Nancy's gonna answer that for you because she's done a ton of it.
Yeah, I just take a mini clipboard with me and I ask them very politely, do you mind if I add you to my database? And if they say yes, then great. Could I get your email address? That would make it easier for me to correspond with you. And can I have your phone number? And if they say yes, like out of the starting gate, you're good. You're golden. You've got your clipboard there. Write it down. That's it.
So you just say add it to the database. You don't say what you would be sending to them.
No, I just ask, can I add you to our database? And then just write their information down. If they say yes, boom.
And how many people would say yes, do you think? Like on average?
I did, what was it, Scott? I think it was 1,500 in that one neighborhood. I added 22 to his database. I did a Tobico, which I think was another 1,000. And I think I only added about 10.
Yeah, and understand that that's the number of doors knocked. That's not the number of people talked to.
That's correct.
Right.
Absolutely, that's correct.
So
That's right. Some people aren't.
yeah, so I guess the easiest question is, when you guys were out on the weekend knocking, you got one appointment. Did you add any more people to the database? No. Okay, but you got the one appointment, so now you go, definitely somebody's going in your database.
Spoke to about, say 75, let's say they were not, but spoke to about 15, 20 people.
Okay, any of those people just have a nice conversation with you, not give you the information. I'm going to give you a little tip right now. Okay? Did any of those people have a nice conversation with you?
Yes, I would say, yeah, probably a couple more.
Okay, did you take that information down and put it somewhere?
I didn't get their name, no.
Okay, you don't need their name. You just have to, what's their address?
Yes, that I did.
Okay, so now you have an address of somebody that had a nice conversation with you. You all belong to the real estate board. The real estate board has access to Geo Warehouse. Geo Warehouse has the name of the people, even has the address, has the postal code. All you're doing is sending them a thank you note. Thank you very much for chatting with me the other day. Okay. I have people that are in my database. I do not have a phone number for. I do not have an email address for. But every month they get my newsletter. delivered by Canada Post when they're not on strike. So,
I think it's
and I've done business from those people where they've actually, I've never had their contact, but just happened to be in the neighborhood, thought I'd pop by, say hi, let you know what's going on in the market. Okay? So there are ways that you can add people to your database, even if they, the door, they do not give you that information. And you will get, I've had one guy say, take me off your list, bleep, right? I knocked on his door and I said, I got your message. Just want to let you know I've taken you off my list. My apologies for you receiving all my flyers about the neighborhood updates. But if I can ever be of service to you, I'm never calling you. 5 years later, guess who we called to sell his house? Because I kept working the neighborhood. And literally the house that the guy that called me is the house across the street from the one I have listed right now.
With all the scams going on, right? People are hesitant to give their name and phone
Yep.
number and email because it's just like, they don't know us, right? We are just at the door, first
Right.
time, don't you?
But now they get a thank you note from
But at
me.
least, yeah, from zero warehouse,
Yeah.
good point.
Right.
Excellent point.
Or it's a handwritten note. You drive by their house and you go pop it in their mailbox.
Also,
Leave it at the door.
So make sure it's not a tenant, make sure the person you're talking to after you see them.
Yeah,
then
good
it's
point.
possible
Yeah.
you want- You know, normally you could be, oh, come this app.
Yeah.
I've heard of that before.
Yeah,
They put it on the
It-
market.
that-
and they realize-
that very rarely happens, but,
It can.
right? But it is important that if you are going on an appointment, doesn't matter what it is, you're actually talking with the homeowner or the condo owner, right? So Garrett, you should look at door knocking as another way of networking. All you're trying to do is build your database from it. Now, networking that you've invited them to a certain area, certain event, but all you're doing with door knocking is going out and starting to have conversations with people. And then from there are techniques to add them to your database. There are techniques to keep in touch with them. Understanding that they may not sell this year or next year, but if you're planning on being in this business a long time, you just want to keep growing your database. And it works. I was at Realtor Quest. Most of us were, and I went to a lot of the sessions. In one of the sessions that was actually held by David Greenspan, in his session, there were probably about 100 people. And he said, I'm gonna actually ask a question. How many people door knock here? About 25 people put up their hand. Okay. He said, this year alone, have you made a deal from door knocking? If you haven't, put your hand down. How many hands went down? How many hands do you think went down?
Zero. Zero.
Zero. And he asked the question, how consistently do you do it? And they all responded, it's in my day timer, it's a non-negotiable. So there is money to be made from door knocking. Consistent, follow up, do the thank yous, do the pop buys, give the information. So we will send you out the podcast, okay? Even if you're not going to door knock, as I said earlier, there's really good points in there. Okay, really good points. Just in real estate sales in general. And this is one of the top team members. The team member himself is probably doing about $1 million a year. Majority of that's from door knocking. And for somebody that says to me, oh, I don't know if I want to do door knocking, try door knocking on houses that are worth $5 to $10 million. what he does. He does areas that houses are worth 5 to 10 million. He does areas that were, but in that same area, there'll be townhouses. Okay. So when you listen to the podcast, I want you to understand, when you listen to it, he was new. Brand new in the business. All he did was found a mentor who had done it. And the mentor basically said, here's what you have to do. And he went and did it. So there's no excuses. Okay. It's there for the taking. Nancy?
Paul Fletcher told me when he first hired me in 2006, two things. Ask for the deal. And I think with door knocking, when you go and somebody engages in conversation, ask for their information. Don't walk away thinking they're going to call you, because they're not.
Good point. You can't get information unless you ask, and you better learn how to ask more than 3 times. Because I have had a situation where in the beginning, they weren't going to give me the information. By the time I left, I had had enough conversation with them, asked them again, even that last question about if I have a buyer that's willing to pay top dollar for your home, would that be something you'd be interested in?
Like he even said that in a listing presentation. I got a lot of wise information from him, actually. In a listing presentation, present, ask. People get to the finish line and they don't ask for the business.
Yeah. So, and you guys, I'm sure I've said this before. When you're showing houses, just don't show them. When you come out the door, my first question is, do you folks see yourself living here? No, great. Scratch that one off the list. But if all you're doing is chauffeuring around or meeting people and you're not asking at that particular point, you got to have a reason to find out. And so if I get people that go, yeah, no, Scott, we're not interested in this. I said, okay, well, have some of the stuff on your wish list. What part about this particular property doesn't work? Because now you're getting information, right? Now you'll be able to go back to them and say, okay, you know what, then we're going to update that wish list. You know, we've got different priorities now. Oh, and by the way, I told you guys about that 26 acres, that modular home. It's firming up today. I was in Owen Sound yesterday, and this is where you got to be involved, okay? We had an electrical inspection done, and we were going up to the attic, we were going through the crawl space. You got to be involved. And even the electrician doing it, he says, hey, you're right in here. I said, yeah, I'm going up in the attic. I'm going to look around. And I can tell you, even I've been in suits where I've been crawling around crawl spaces and stuff. And the clients go, I got to know more about the house than my clients. Yeah, so it's all firming up, which is because I got involved. I made the effort to make sure I was there. It was even the agent up there said, Scott, if you just want to send me an electrician, we can get the report for you. No, I want to be there. And I'm glad I was, right? Because that's how you get referral business. This client of mine, he's so happy, he's already told his cousins. His cousins were the one that referred him to me. I've talked to the cousin the other day. He says, hey, Jay's really excited about this property. He said, yeah, we got a few more steps to go to get it. And my client who sent it to me said, Scott, I know you're going to make it happen. So, right? Get involved. Yeah. And the condo on Kimbermount that I had, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, here in Erin Mills, sold conditionally. Did the home inspection yesterday, condo inspection, they waived that. We're just waiting for the status. So the market is there. Okay, you just got to be out communicating, talking, working your database, working the open houses, working the door knocking, working the networking. Just be out there, follow up, follow up, follow up. Anything else? Anybody want to share with, what's going on, what you're seeing?
I have a question,
Yeah.
got different questions. So a lot of listings that I see that agents are putting below market price, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, of course, to get more viewings or whatever, right? That's the strategy they're using. For example, condos in Toronto, right? Market value is 500,000, they're listing 399.
Okay.
As my website is sending listings to my buyers, my buyers get excited seeing 399. Wow, this looks nice. Let's go take a look at it, right?
Yeah.
But when I look at it, it's not in their budget, right? Even if they can get maybe finance approval, but again, they're gonna have a struggle paying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's fixed date for the offers too. So how do we educate and not waste so much of our time even showing them that is what I want to learn from you.
Okay. So what you're asking is, you have consumers or are they clients?
Client,
So you got buyers.
buyer
Okay, so you got buyers on auto drip.
Yeah.
They're seeing stuff come out that's listed below,
Yeah.
right? With a offer presentation date. Okay. I know how I'm going to answer this. We have lots of wisdom here. Suggestions for Gautam? Kate is here.
Fully offer.
Sorry, I would show the client what they're selling for first. So that, are they willing to pay in that range? Sure, let's go look.
Okay.
If they're not willing to pay that range, I would say they are gonna change the price. If they don't get their offer, there'll be a higher price. And it always happens.
Okay.
And I resend it to them. This is now their new listing price.
Right.
That's what their estimated was, that's what they wanted.
Okay. So you're basically,
Educate the buyer that,
yeah.
although it came, or the other way is kind of a cheat, where you would put the minimum price for their drip to not to be too much, like I've seen $1 listings too, right? All
Right.
over the place.
Yeah.
I always make sure they never appear to them.
Okay.
Never.
So you want to set the parameters that the
Within
search.
their budget, yeah, from the lower, like, not too low, because the agents will do
Yeah.
80, 100,000 lower. So,
But
but
the-
that's kind of bad too, because they could find it on Realtor.ca and say, why
Yeah.
didn't this come?
So
up?
the issue though is that the house value is probably higher than what their budget is, but the listing is in their budget, right? So, okay, and
But if you educate them.
education is going to be number one, okay? Any other thoughts before I share you what I think you should be doing?
I mean, what I did actually, I showed her that condo, like one
Yeah.
condo.
Okay,
And I then did the analysis before, but I showed her, I said, look, I mean, yeah, it's listed 399, but that's not the actual price. Market price is this is the comparable showing. So I took it there,
Yeah.
that showing,
Yeah.
and just had a discussion with her after and said, it's probably gonna go in probably high 400s, right? Because they probably be looking around 500, but then I'm saying, of course, there's room to negotiate, but depending how many offers they get.
sure. Yeah, Jay.
So
Yeah.
like, for instance, like, how would you, check to make sure that's actually the case? Like, what steps do you do to make sure that's actually the case for the property that you're looking at, that they have lowered it because they just want to drive more traffic?
Yeah, so one of the things in that situation, lots of times the agent will say there's an offer presentation time. That's a good indication that, they've listed at 399, but the condo building that they're in is selling around 525. Then there's an offer presentation time. They're basically saying, we're looking for multiple offers. We're looking for more money. Okay.
Now, some don't even put a fixed date,
Yeah,
Scott, still they
yeah.
have it lower, so that's
Yeah.
even more misleading.
Yeah. So in that particular case, the first question is, what do you do?
Check the souls and compare.
Yeah.
Call the agent.
No, but the agent, so the agent will say, no, it's open to offers. That's all he'll say. Or some of them they've asked me, what are they looking for? I said, that's the asking price. bring the best offer you can. That's
Right.
all I can say.
Okay.
I put a number.
But at least contact the agent. So one,
Okay.
right? So you can say you got to educate your buyers. Okay. Are you during your initial buyer representation presentation discussing all the possibilities of what happens in the marketplace? One of them better be, hey, just want to bring to your attention, because you're probably going to come across, you're going to see listings that are going to be listed way below. So here's what the scenario is. They're going to list it way below, and they're going to look at driving traffic and getting multiple offers. Is that a situation you want to put yourself in?
Majority of the buyers will say no,
Right.
not anymore. They're done.
But I want to bring it to your attention because you are going to get listings that come across, and I'm absolutely watching the same information you're getting. Bring it to my attention, we'll discuss it. But here's how it works. And then the other scenario is, we're also going to look at properties that are going to be, regularly priced, because we're always going to look for market value. We're also going to look at some that are probably overpriced. So those are the three different scenarios. Are you having that discussion with them? You should be, right? Have that discussion with them. Explain to what's going on. So when that comes across, you're going to go, hey, remember when we had that conversation earlier? Remember we talked about that one scenario? This is that scenario. How do you guys, you want, here's where their listing is. Here's where the comparables recently have sold for. Looks like it's going to sell above your budget. If it does, has your budget changed?
Then we can go look.
Right?
Okay.
So it's all in how you set up the scenarios and let them know, right? My biggest thing when you're doing a listing presentation, buyer presentation, this is how the expectations are going to be, right? Let them know, here's the scenario. So when it happens, it's, oh yeah, we talked about that, right? Yeah. So now you're bringing their anxiety back down. Now you're giving them information about, right, we did discuss this. This isn't something new. Okay. Any other questions, information? Okay, we will send out the notes and the podcast. Do look at it as I recommend. And if you have any questions at all, we're here, reach out. Okay. Everybody have a good.
I want to talk about that unethical situation that I came across for the second time in my 37 years.
Oh, just a reminder to everybody. You are licensed under you're licensed under trust under RICO. You have to be paid through the brokerage that you're licensed with. In certain situations where people are trying to save money because they're a little bit tight, try and avoid paying the HST. If they say, well, we'll just pay you direct, your answer is no. Your license is not worth it. Okay, just a reminder. And there are some agents that are offering that because it's their relative's property or it's their own property. You can't do. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay, rental, anything. You have to be paid through your brokerage.
Even a big deal that I had many years ago, a big deal over 1.3 million. He was going to give me 40 grand cash.
Right. So
Scary.
just if it does come up, just say thanks very much. Can't do it. My license is too important to me. Lots of business out there. It has definitely, I've sensed the momentum change. And I'm sure some of you have as well. Right? So you got 2 offers going, see? I'm sorry, how far away are we from the end of that election? About 60 days.
Yeah.
Right? Keep working, it's there. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great day.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
You as well.